from Angkasapuri, I'm Jessica Lee, and this is Updates at Noon. Our headlines this afternoon. Government to focus on putting LCS project back on track. Memorandum on political funding bill to be presented to the Cabinet next month. In our first story, a weak earthquake measuring 3.1 on the Richter scale hit Kundasang in Sabah at 7:27 a.m. this morning. Malaysia Meteorological Department said that the quake was detected 13 kilometres northwest of Ranau, Sabah, at a depth of 10 kilometres. Now, Malaysia said tremors were felt around Kundasang and Ranau. Meanwhile, Ranau District Officer Jumain Abdul Gain, when contacted by RTM, said so far he has yet to receive any complaints by the public, adding that he would continue to monitor the situation closely. Now, all highway concession companies have also been instructed to conduct inspections for any traces of quake aftermath. Bousted Naval Shipyard, or BNS, is committed to continue with the construction of 5 littoral combat ships, or LCS, that were delayed previously. Its Chief Executive Officer, Captain Engineer Azhar Jumaat, said 5 LCS were being built concurrently, with the first ship at the 60% completion stage, followed by the rest at the range of 48 to 22% completion. Azhar pointed out that most of the equipment stored in warehouses is not obsolete as claimed and is still usable for the project. Now, a report published by Public Accounts Committee, or PAC, on the LCS project said that 15% of the equipment stored at the warehouses had become obsolete.
Not really accurate. I said inaccurate because the term obsolete means it's already useless. What we're saying that is in the process of having obsolescence issue. Obsolescence is a process. Obsolete is the end state of that process. So it has not arrived to the end state. So obsolescence can be managed if we continue and able to carry out those routine maintenance. And to mitigate that so-called concern about it being obsolete, I mentioned to you we have get assurance with all the OEM, especially those mission critical, combat critical item, that those equipment are still in operation, supportable for the next 25 years or so.
He said this during media personnel visit to LCS construction site at the Bousted Naval Shipyard in Lumut, Perak. Meanwhile, Senior Defence Minister Datuk Seri Shammuddin Tun Hussein said the Defence Ministry has nothing to hide over the LCS project procurement issue, adding that the wrongdoers must be brought to justice. Now, in a Facebook post, Datuk Seri Shammuddin wanted to shift the focus on putting the LCS project back on track as decided by the Cabinet. Datuk Seri Shammuddin said negotiations with vendors, original equipment manufacturers or OEM, and banks are being carried out. He said this in relation to the procurement of the LCS, which became controversial following the PAC report revealing that not a single ship had been completed, even though the project's contract stipulated that 5 of the 6 ships should be completed and handed over by August 2022. In the posting, Datuk Seri Shammuddin also shared pictures taken during media personnel visit to Bousted Naval Shipyard in Lumut, Perak yesterday to take a look at the external and internal conditions of the LCS, which is under construction. Now, the government will not compromise and will take appropriate action against any civil servant found to be involved in crime, including drug abuse. Now, Home Minister Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin said the punishments are stipulated in the country's laws and would depend on their offences.
Akan memastikan sesiapa saja dalam gunakan dadah ini akan kita tengok dari segi kesalahan yang mereka lakukan. Kalau mereka mempublikkan sehingga menjual dadah, hukumnya agak berat sekali. Tapi mereka juga ada yang telah terjebak dalam dadah. Betulnya kita akan ambil dan letak mereka untuk rehabilitate orang seperti ini.
He said this at a media conference after officiating the Crime and Drugs-Free Community Program at Dewan Semai Bakti in Felda Ijok, Selama. At the same time, the minister hoped every party will cooperate with the government to combat drugs abuse activities among civil servants. A memorandum on the proposed political funding bill is expected to be presented at the cabinet meeting next month to enable the bill to be tabled in the next parliament sitting in October. Now, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department of Parliament and Law, Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, said a discussion on matters related to the bill was held on Friday with the National Centre for Governance, Integrity and Anti-Corruption, or GIACC, and the Attorney General's Chambers, AGC. The discussion also involved the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, Registrar of Societies, ROS, Companies Commission of Malaysia, SSM, and the Legal Affairs Division, BHEUU, under the Prime Minister's Department. He said the GIACC has been instructed to refine these policy matters, and the Legal Affairs Division, as well as the AGC, were asked to prepare an administrative draft of the bill by taking into account inputs from civil society and non-governmental organizations. In addition, he said a comparative analysis on the use of similar laws in other countries must be carried out to set a benchmark for the proposed legislation. The minister also suggested that it be aligned with existing laws under the ROS and SSM. The implementation of Undi 18 will be able to provide wider opportunity for the youths to get involved and follow the development of Malaysia's political landscape. The Finance Minister, Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tunku Abdul Aziz, believes that the youths now hold the power to change traditional politics approach, but they must first understand current issues in the country.
Undi 18 juga mampu mengubah gaya politik tradisional. Dalam hubungan ini, anak-anak muda harus membuktikan mereka mampu menawarkan wadah baru politik yang lebih segar. Lebih baik pemahaman golongan muda terhadap isu-isu semasa, lebih bijak pilihan yang akan dibuat demi masa hadapan negara.
Speaking at the 2022 Selangor National Youth Day celebration at Stadium Utama, Kuala Selangor, Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul said with more political representatives from among the youths, the voices of the group would also be better heard. Coming up next, building of Sabah dams in Gunung Inas will begin immediately.
There has been a drastic increase in suicide cases as compared with previous years. According to PDRM, as of March this year, a total of 336 suicide cases were recorded. We can manage this issue if we are able to identify the symptoms of early depression. Don't go through it alone. Go and get help.
Now, the construction of two Sabah dams at the foot of Gunung Inas in Baling Kedah will begin as soon as possible to slow down the flow of water and block the debris capable of causing catastrophic water surges in residential areas. Now, according to Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Muhammad Sanusi Maknor, this is also to ensure the safety of those living at the river downstream vicinity.
Di Gunung Inas, DPS beritahu saya nak bina 2 sebuah dam. 2. Akan dibuat majlis pecah tanah secepat mungkin untuk bina yang pertama. Sabu dam di Gunung Inas untuk memperlahankan larian air dan menahan reba-reba kayu daripada menghentam orang ramai.
The Menteri Besar also blasted claims by several quarters who have continued to associate floods and water surge incidents in Kampung Iboy last month with Musang King plantations located atop of Gunung Inas. He stressed that findings by Energy and Natural Resources Ministry showed that those incidents occurred due to chain geology process phenomenon involving simultaneous landslides at the weathered granite hillsides. The Ministry of Education, or MOE, have been conducting engagement sessions with over 20,000 individuals involving parents, teachers and local leaders in its process of implementing transformation in the education sector. The Senior Minister of Education, Datuk Dr. Razijilin, said the ministry will continue to hold such engagement sessions throughout August and September. He added District Education Office PPD Open Day, which will kick off soon nationwide, allows the public to go to PPD in their respective districts to have a closer look on policies and transformations undertaken by the MOE so far.
Kerana apa yang paling penting adalah supaya mesej yang kita ingin sampaikan itu betul-betul sampai dan difahami oleh semua pihak. Sebenarnya apa yang kita laksanakan ini bila kita jelaskan kepada ibu bapa dengan lebih mendalam dalam banyak sesi lebah urus, masing-masing memberikan satu pandangan yang cukup positif bahawa we are on the right track dengan pendekatan yang kita laksanakan ini.
He said this at a media conference of Education Transformation Showcase in Putrajaya. The Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, or MOTAC, welcomes the participation of people in the rural areas in the tourism industry, especially homestay ventures. Now, as Minister, Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri called on those interested in joining the industry to register their businesses with MOTAC. In a post on her Facebook page, Datuk Sri Nancy said by registering with the ministry, the startups will be able to receive benefits provided by MOTAC, such as preparing hotspots tourism packages, entrepreneurship courses and training, food preparation training, customer service and others. She added, venture in tourism industry will help to boost income for the locals, which will indirectly improve their livelihoods as well as producing tourism entrepreneurs. The minister also congratulated the Darvel Bay Homestay in Lahadatu, Sabah for receiving the Malaysia Homestay Experience Registration Program yesterday. On the foreign front, Rushdi's suspect charged with attempted murder. Now, 7 people were wounded, 2 of them critically, after a shooter opened fire on a bus in Jerusalem's Old City early Sunday. Israel's Emergency Medical Services, or MDA, called the incident a terror attack in the Old City. An AFP reporter noted heightened security around the scene, not far from Jerusalem's Western Wall, the Jews' holiest prayer site. The police have launched a search for the shooter, who fled after the pre-dawn attack. MDA spokesperson said 6 men and 1 woman were injured in the attack, with all 7 fully conscious. All victims were taken to nearby hospitals. Bus driver Daniel Kenevskis described a chaotic scene suddenly erupting.
And I just stopped in the station of the grave of David, tomb of David. In this moment, start the shooting. 2 people outside I see falling, 2 inside. It was bleeding. And the people, everybody, entry panic.
The shooting comes about a week after a 3-day conflict between Israel and Islamic Jihad group in the densely populated Palestinian enclave of Gaza. A New York court charged the man suspected of stabbing Salman Rushdie at the literary event with attempted murder for the attack on the writer, who remains hospitalized in serious condition. According to the New York Times, the British author was stabbed approximately 10 times, prosecutors said, during an arraignment of the New Jersey man. The 24-year-old alleged assailant, Hadi Matar, rushed on stage on Friday where Rushdie was about to deliver a lecture and stabbed him in multiple places, including the face, neck and abdomen. Now, police provided no information on Matar's background or what might have motivated him. Now, the assault on Rushdie, author of The Satanic Verses and Midnight's Children, triggered international outrage but drew applause from some quarters in Iran and Pakistan. Now, Rushdie underwent emergency surgery and was placed on a ventilator in a Pennsylvania hospital following Friday's assault. Now, he will likely lose an eye, according to his agent, Andrew Wiley, who said that the author had started to talk again. President Joe Biden on Saturday called it a vicious attack and offered prayers for Rushdie's recovery. Dogs, cats and their owners took to the streets of Caracas in Venezuela to ask Venezuela's prosecutor to support legal reforms against animal abuse. Now, amongst protesters were pet owners, NGOs focused on animal protection, rescuers and veterinarians. Joining the protesters marching from downtown Caracas to the prosecutor's office, some of the animals carried banners with messages such as "We are not toys, we feel," and "No to animal abuse." The punishments for animal abuse are considered in a law for protection of domestic animals and the Penal Code, which provides for arrests of up to 45 days and fines. Now, activists are calling for changes to these legal frameworks to make the penalties more severe. The Public Ministry has opened 190 cases for the mistreatment of domestic animals, and 179 people involved in such incidents have been arrested between July 2020 and July 2022. A giant panda named Yong Yong gave birth to twin cubs at a breeding base in northwest China's Shanxi province. The male cubs weigh 150.4 grams and 134.5 grams respectively when they were born at the Qingling Giant Panda Research Center. This is the second birth for Yong Yong, who was also born at the center on the 10th of August 2014. Firefighters are continuing to fight fires in the forest of Pine Point in Ilvalane, where fires are still breaking out. Entire areas have been ravaged by the flames, with nothing left but burned trees on the black, devastated soil, still smoking in places. Images show powerful winds hitting a music festival near the Spanish resort of Valencia, causing the stage to partially collapse. And one person has died and dozens more were injured after the wind ravaged certain areas of the festiva in the early hours of the morning. 12 men and 12 women put their diving skills to the test in Oslo with a 30-meter-long platform set atop the city's Opera House. It is the first time the building has ever been used for a sports competition, as 55,000 spectators crowd the site to catch a glimpse of the impressive dives. In sport, Manchester United suffer humiliating loss at Brentford. The Badminton Association of Malaysia, or BAM, has given the national badminton coaches 6 months to identify the association's number 2 and 3 singles men's players. Now, the association would leave it to singles coaching director Wong Chun Han and national men's singles coach Hendrawan to identify the players.
Now we have BM set up. We have Unzion. number one. So my question to both Chon Han and Hendrawan is that who is our number 2 and number 3? They have to fast track that fast. We have given them 6 months to do that. Yalah, sebab ada ramai itu, tapi they have to name us the second and the third lah. At the end of the day, it's up to the coaches and the technical department to do whatever necessary.
He added that BAM has also approved an application by BAM High Performance Director Dr. Tim Jones to include the use of more scientific methodology to create more elite players in the future. Now, BAM had earlier provided an overall incentive of 245,000 ringgit to the national badminton squad that brought home medals from the Vietnam Southeast Asian or SEA Games and the Birmingham Commonwealth Games in appreciation of their contributions. The 2022 Sultan Azlan Shah Cup Hockey Tournament has been brought forward to be held from the 1st to the 10th of November. Now, according to Malaysian Hockey Confederation President Datuk Sri Subhan Kamal, the tournament, which was originally scheduled for the 15th to the 25th of November, was brought forward to allow the national team to prepare for other tournaments. Other countries that had confirmed their participation in the tournament, he said, were 2019 champions South Korea, Canada, Japan, South Africa and Pakistan.
Jemputan ini kita buat berasaskan kepada maklumat yang kita terima daripada Coach Arul, kerana Coach Arul merasakan bahawa pasukan-pasukan ini pun bukan pasukan-pasukan calang, tapi pasukan yang ada status dan pasukan yang hebat. Dan pasukan ini kita nak main dengan dia as many matches as we can so that we prepare for Asian Games next year. We go on.
Datuk Sri Subhan said he was confident that the tournament would receive good support from spectators following a long hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the last time the Sultan Azlan Shah Cup took place was in 2019, with the national team taking 3rd place. Let's take a look at the Super League. Negeri Sembilan FC managed to pull closer to their rivals at the top of the Super League after beating Petaling Jaya City FC, PJ City, 2-0 at Petaling Jaya City Stadium last night. Gustavo Dos Santos was the hero of the night with his brace of goals, the first in the 11th and second in the 62nd minute, allowing his team to close the gap with the other two teams at the top of the league. Over in Terengganu, Terengganu FC collected full points by edging Sarawak United 1-0 at Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin Stadium, Kuala Nerus. Their Liberian striker Kepa Sherman scored the goal in the 71st minute. Over in Melaka, Melaka United had split points with Sri Pahang as they drew 2-2 at Hang Jebat Stadium. Melaka United pulled ahead 2-0 through Ifedayo Olesegun in the 38th minute and Adriano Narcisco in the 51st minute. Sri Pahang levelled things up through David Rowley in the 87th minute and Sharul Nizam Nazir in the 90th minute. In the English Premier League, Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag said he had the main responsibility for a humiliating 4-0 loss away to Brentford earlier today, left one-time kings of the English football bottom of the Premier League. Now, Brentford scored 4 goals inside the opening 35 minutes to spark joyous scenes at their West London ground. United fell behind in woeful fashion when goalkeeper David De Gea somehow let a Josh Da Silva shot slip through his grasp before Matthias Jensen struck as the visitors failed to play out from the back. Ben Mee then exposed United's frailty from set pieces for his first Brentford goal, and Brian Mbeumo rounded off a stunning counter-attack 10 minutes before half-time.
It's when the results are like this, I can imagine that feeling, and it's no good that we show that clear, and so we have to change that. We need more hungriness on the pitch and show that as individual and as a team. We will learn, and we have to learn, but it's no good. That's quite clear, and on this level, definitely. That is not the standard we want to act.
United have now lost 7 consecutive league games away from home for the first time since 1936. In the German Bundesliga, forward Timo Werner scored on his RB Leipzig return. But his 10-man team twice gave away the lead to settle for a 2-2 draw against visitors Cologne, and they remain without a win after 2 match days. This week, after 2 years and a minute, the hosts had earlier put the ball in the net through Danny Olmo, but the goal was ruled by VAR for hand. Christopher Nkunku took matters into his own hands in the 56th. Final item on tennis, Hubert Hurkacz battled back from a set and a breakdown to beat Casper Ruud 5-7, 6-3, 6-2 and reached the Canadian Open final. Hurkacz raced out to a 3-love lead in the first set before Ruud regrouped, delivering a spinning 97 mph when Hurkacz smashed a backhand cross-court winner to go up a double break, pumping his fist in celebration. And that's it for this afternoon. In our top story, government to focus on putting LCS project back on track. Don't forget to join us again tonight at 10 p.m. on Saluran Berita RTM for the latest news. I'm Jessica Lee. Thank you for watching.